Hello, my little ponies. I'm Starlight, and welcome to another storyteller. We are going to continue off where we left off in my last Firefly, which is a parody of the fanfiction Fallout. Excuse me if my voices are a little off. I'm kind of sick at the moment, so I'll do my best, but komenasai if the voices aren't spot on, or if I end up making any funny noises or anything. So let's continue off where we left off with our dear little Pegasus Firefly. What on earth in Lunar's night sky is wrong with ponies? God, just flying towards a little town, and these dog things decide to pop out and try to kill me. What is wrong with everyone? Every place I stop, people are trying to kill me. At this very moment, I am flying as fast as I can away from the dog-like things, if they can even be called a canine of some sort. They don't seem to be very kind. They're firing guns at me. As if it wasn't bad enough to have Pegasus, now I have to worry about dogs shooting at me? Maybe I would have been better letting the scientists re-cut off my wings. On second thought, I take dog-like monster things shooting at me with guns over getting my wings chopped off any day. Better pick up some speed. It seems that I can only do that really fast flying sonic thingy when I am falling, seeing as I don't really want to get any closer to the ground. I'm trying to fly as fast as I can. But these dog things are really fast. What makes it worse is that they keep digging underground and popping out of nowhere, so I can't see where they're coming from. And this is awful. Like, honestly, I didn't do anything. I just landed and asked some pony what was today's date. And next thing I know, the stupid dog is pointing a gun at me. Luckily, I was fast enough to get out of the way, and I took back off to the sky. Why is everybody so hostile? I understand that being in a desert is not the best place to be, but people are still being a little too much. What's the word I'm looking for? Hostile? Yes, hostile. Or would insane be a proper context? At this moment, while I'm rambling in my head, a bullet grazes my wings, causing me to spin out of control. Ow, ow, ow! I managed to catch control, but flapping my wings hurts incredulously. Apparently, I hit one of my pin wings, which means I have little to no steering on my left side. Oh, may I die at this point. But luckily, I managed to at least fly half-heartedly towards the clouds and grab a small one just long enough for me to be able to bring it down a little bit. And there's corn on this cloud. Why is there corn on this cloud? I only realized this after I've already settled down on this, hoping that no one will see this, as I flap my one good wing to try and get the cloud away from the hole so I don't get attacked by those weird bug-like Pegasus, and to try and keep the dogs from seeing me as to not get shot again, because at this point I'm pretty sure I will be unable to properly fly. If I can just get away from them, I can land and walk, maybe even heal myself. But at this moment, the fact that there is corn on this cloud is baffling me. Little corn. Corn's basically a baby corn at this point. Just has one small little sprout. I picked the corn and put it in my saddlebag. Who knows, it might come in handy. I then decide that seeing as they have stopped chasing me, I think that it would probably be better in my interest if I still kept going forward just at this point, only to realize that with me only flapping one of my wings, I am going in a gigantic circle. So I have no reason. I try my best to mend my wing with what little medical supplies I brought with me. Really, that was so smart. I mean, I was in the medical wing. I couldn't have loaded my bags up with more stuff. So no, I wrap my wing in this, only to realize that what I thought was a bullet was wrong. It turned my flesh on my wing a little bubbly. I've seen this effect before. It's done with magical weapons. Weapons that use ammunition or jewels that have been imprinted with a certain spell in order to increase the efficiency. I know that the wing will not heal properly with this on it. I had to cut off the feathers in the skin that have been infected. Oh goody. So I grit my teeth and get down to it. At this point, I feel a little dizzy due to the fact that I've lost quite a bit of blood, and I stare at the little droplets of redness on the cloud and just have to wonder why anyone would want to stain such a beautiful thing. At this point, I'm pretty sure I'm out of it. So I take a booster pill and I wrap my wing up with the medical bandages I have. At this point, it would probably be best for me to not sleep on the cloud and to get the cloud down far enough that I can touch the ground. But I don't want to do that because I'm afraid of the dogs. But as I don't see any, I see what looks like what used to be a highway, or maybe a train track of some sort lifted off the ground. This might be my best place to rest. So as I work very hard at biting off little tufts of cloud and throwing them off so that then the cloud slowly lowers me, I finally managed to get to the track. Taking one more energy pill before dispersing the cloud completely, I then decide, seeing as I'm energized from the pill, I might as well do a little exploring. I look around. There's a little station, I suppose ponies used to get off. I'm definitely on a highway. There's no train tracks. Well, at least I know that. I go into the little building, and to my surprise, everything's locked. Well, that's really no problem with me. So I said to it, glad to have something to set my mind onto instead of having to worry about my wing. Focusing, I managed to open up the little drawer under what I suppose is the ticket desk. Opening it, I find a small gun with a couple of bullets. Well, seeing as how hostile everything is, I figure it might be a good idea to carry around the gun with me. Though the thought of shooting some pony is just awful. I put the gun and the bullets that I find for it in my saddlebag. My piplup labels them as a fire shot revolver 22. I don't think I have 22, so I think the 22 represents the bullets. I'm not quite sure. I did not take the weaponry class due to the fact that, I'm not in security, but I do know several of the different gauges from my brother, although they use mainly stun bullets in security or batons. Which reminds me, I should totally get a baton. I would very much feel easier using a baton instead of a gun, because at least a baton I can knock myself out unconscious instead of killing them. I should totally get myself one. I wonder if there's a store anywhere. I wonder what kind of currency they use out here. All these things are running through my mind as I am picking the little safe under the desk, which is filled with bits, which I swiftly put into my saddlebag, and to my surprise, a little baggie of what appears to be bottle caps. Well, waste not, want not. I figure if worse comes to worse, I can at least use them to make those little smoke bombs that my brother used to make when we were kids. They might be useful, although I don't have the faintest idea where I'd find the chemical components for it. But who knows? I also find what appears to be where they confiscated, or maybe the lost box from when it is. For inside of it is a yo-yo, a Pinkie Pie doll, I believe, with a little, what would you call it? It has a tag on its ear. It says PV on it. And inside the little tag it says, "We'll be watching you forever." That creeps me out a lot. Matter of fact, the doll kind of creeps me out. But I figure, seeing as I kept the bottle caps, I might as well put the doll in there. I left the Ranchy magazine that was in there, and I did take the cola that was in there. I'm not very fond of cola, Nuka Cola, just for the fact that it has a very fuzziness to it that often upsets my stomach. I figure if I run low on canteen water, better drink a soda than to die of thirst. There being no more drawers to pick, I then look around the room, and again, just to make sure I haven't missed anything, and that's when I see the closet. I open it, and I shriek. There is a pile of bones. Pony bones, guessing by the skull, and it creeps me out. This, unfortunately, would not be the last set of bones I've seen. What appears to be smaller bones, so a filly, and what appears to be older bones, probably the filly's mother or father, are jammed into the closet. This is horrible. I back away, only to notice something up above them in the closet. It's a coat or a cloak. I'm not quite sure. We have no need for such clothing in it, but I've read about them. They're used during cold weather to keep you warm. And seeing as the sun's setting, it is getting rather chilly. Trying to not look at the giant pile of bones in the closet, I gently grab the cloak with my teeth off of the shelf and pull it, only to be hit in the head with a pair of boots. Looking at them, there are 4. And apparently this is strange, but I decide, well, waste not, want not. After all, they might help keep me from actually cutting my hoofs, seeing as I have to walk now since my wing needs to mend properly. So I put on the weird boots, marveling at how strange it is that I cannot feel the floor anymore, and toss on what I now realize is a cloak. It is nice and warm, and as I look at myself in the mirror, I realize I cannot see myself. And then it hits me. This is an invisibility cloak. I look into the closet and realize that the elder, what I thought was a pony, is wearing red armor. And it hits me. These were part of the zebras that were trying to protect Equestria. why a zebra was at the station and why it chose to hide was probably due to the fact that it was already there. The invisibility cloak must have come with the zebra. For all I know, it could have been hiding the foal or something. But no point in thinking about this. I closed the closet, marveling at how strange it is that my boots that I just acquired are actually my size. So they probably were the fillies. The cloak fits nicely as well. So my theory that the cloak was for the filly and not the mother just spurs me on that the mother was protecting her filly, which makes me happy. But I should stop rambling to myself and get moving, seeing as night is coming. Although I decide that since night is coming, it is best that I probably hunker down. I lock the door to the station and I crawl under the desk, hoping that if those weird dog things come back, they won't be able to see me. And then I wake up to the sound of shooting. Yes, I once read in a book that when I was little, of the stallion saying, I love the smell of gunpowder in the morning. I don't agree with that pony. It is not a very good thing to wake up to the sound of gunfire. I wake up and peer out the window to see a couple of, a giant earth pony. She's kind of bluish with short hair, and she's holding a gun in her mouth and firing at several of those dog creatures that I saw yesterday that are climbing up onto the ramp. Well, that poor thing. Unlike me, she does not have wings to help, even though she far precedes my height and mass. I've seen how sharp those claws are. They're literally ripping holes through the metal. So, I take out the gun that I found yesterday. Well, I don't like that idea of killing any pony. These creatures are attacking this pony who I probably, like myself, is just traveling and trying to get someplace, although I have no idea where I'm traveling to yet. So I point my gun, realizing I have no idea how to shoot the gun. But my brother had taken me shooting several times, and while unlike him I'm not a unicorn, I put the grip in my mouth, and my stats informs me to take aim with it. Okay, I slip into stats, and whoa, everything slows down. It's incredible. One bullet goes through the glass, shattering it. The other two manage to hit one, a brownish, grayish, rather paunchy looking dog thing, and hits another slightly brownish, grayish one. Then my stats informs me that it is out. What? By this point, I realize that the blue mare has glanced at me, deciding rather to focus her attention on the dogs rather than me, thankfully. I then try to take aim and shoot. It is clear, obviously, that I have no talent with a gun when not in stats. That is something I need to practice in. And then it clicks. I have no more bullets. Oh, do I? Yes, there was another of those, what are they? The cartridges that go into the gun. As I fiddle with it, trying to figure out how to get the stupid slidey thingy out, I then realize that there's a slight little button, and I push it, and thankfully it drops out, only to look as I put the new one in that the diamond dog is climbing into it, Luckily, I don't really have to aim that well when the dog is point blank. Unfortunately, the brain splattered all over me. Ew. As I literally am standing there shaking, covered in dog brain, the blue pony, earth pony, comes up to me. Are you okay, sweetie? Yes? No, I... Dear lordy, girl, you act as if you've never shot a gun before. I have shot a gun before, but never at a... What were those things? Diamond dogs. Diamond dogs? My mind goes back to a tale I once heard. It was in the recants of the Ministry of Image, a book that told of the memoirs of the Minister Mayor of Image, and how she once defeated the diamond dogs by whining, stating that ingenuity is often far better than brute force. You mean... I can't imagine these creatures were of those same beings. Are you okay, sweet cheeks? I mean, I've never killed anything before. Why, I have to say, I guess that's probably because you're from a stable. I'm shocked. I look at her. How did you... That Piplup? It's very unlikely you'll have one here. Not to mention the fact that even though most fillies your age would easily be able to handle themselves, you'd probably still be a crusader. I am not a filly. I, of course, understand her mistake, but it still infuriates me. I have to inform you that I am not a filly. Just due to some experimentations, I have stopped growing. Experimentations? What were you? A captor of that, I don't know, that weird ghoul pony a couple years back who was trying to figure out how to stop pain or something? No. I'm from Stable 100, and since I don't have my cutie mark after I graduated, I was designated as a test subject. It's the main priority. I got it. Your stable was into weird medicine thingies, and because you didn't have a cutie mark, you were forced to have experiments done on you. Please, I know I might not look the brightest, but trust me, I can understand simple things. It's not really simple. I was the only Pegasus in the stable. Well, no duh. Most Pegasus didn't go into stables. They went up into the clouds and sealed it off. Makes a lot of hard worse for us down here, constantly raining and such. Yes. No offense, but what's with the shoes? Oh, I found them in the closet, along with this invisibility cloak. Invisibility cloak? Yes, it appears that, don't matter much. What's found in the wasteland is yours. Although, I can tell you a lot of people would pay high caps for an invisibility cloak. Caps? Well, sure. Bottle caps. I reckon you haven't really run into any hospitality type ponies out here. Why, no, I just got out the other day, and the first ponies I ran into were those diamond dogs. Well, that's rotten luck. Yes, I suppose it is. I also injured my wing, as you can see. Why, I reckon, what did they, slice through it, or was it from one of their blasts? It got hit by one of those blasters, but it should be healed by now. At least if my bandages did what they're supposed to. I quickly unwrap my wing, and shocked to find that, while it is better than yesterday, it isn't healed. Don't worry about it. It's all the taint around here. It has a habit of draining medicine potions and other medical supplies. Stuff like that has to be real fresh in order for it to still work. Even a day out here, it drains the medical wear. But your wing looks better, I think. You said it got hit by that blast, so at least it's not all bubbly. Why, thank you for your consideration. It is, in fact, better. Just a bit worrisome. I was rather hoping I could fly in it again today. Suppose that's another day of travel. Why, no worries. Why don't you come and travel along with me? After all, you were a mighty heap of help with those diamond dogs. Why, thank you. I'd be mighty gracious if you would allow me to come with you. Why, as long as you don't keep talking all proper like, please. After all, it's always good to have some backup when traveling in such dangerous parts. Now, you should probably keep walking here on this line for at least a little while, due to the fact that diamond dogs are more likely to sense us if we're on the ground. Well, alrighty then. You're the expert. I mean, it would be so much easier if there was a handbook or something. Why, there is a handbook. She then, to my surprise, takes a book out of her saddlebag and hands it to me. The Wasteland Survival Guide by Ditsy Do. That there is reckon is the only useful book you can find here in the wastelands. There are different ones for each different parts of the wastelands, with different tips on how to survive. I'm a traveling sales pony, or at least I was before all my stuff got stolen. Oh, I'm terribly sorry to hear that. No prob. It's not your problem after all. We just met. So, no worries. Come on. Let's get on up before more of those diamond dogs decide to come and slice us to bits. Oh, yes, you're quite right. I shouldn't be, don't worry. First couple days out in the wastelands will be hard for you, I reckon. Still, there are days that still take away things. It's best for you to find a virtue. It will help keep the wastelands from eating you away. Although, oftentimes virtues will eventually turn on you, turning into corrupted versions of their own virtues. Is that so? Do you have a virtue? Right straight, I do. My virtue, or as I like to say, is the virtue of honesty. I decided on that on the count of one Applejack. She was one of the ministry mares. Tried her best to stop the wars and to protect us honest pony folk. She was an earnest pony like myself. Is that so? I've read about the ministry mare Applejack. I've of course read about all the ministry mares, although mainly of the Twilight, the Ministry of Magic. She helped create new technology for the war. Very scientific, of course, which is why there was so much information on her. Yeah, well, honesty's quite easy to be on. Nobody really cares whether you're honest or not in the wasteland. They don't care if you're rude or not. So, yeah, well, I reckon honesty is the best policy. Better be straightforward with ponies than to be all sneaky behind them. I quite agree. Although, I really wonder what my virtue. Can you really just pick one like that? Well, you can't really pick your virtue. It's more something that's inlaid into you, I guess you could say. Inlaid. So I could have a virtue and not even realize it. I'm definitely not the virtue of bravery. I ran away from my stable because I was sick and tired of being a guinea pig. Couldn't imagine having them cut off my wings again. To my surprise, the pony stopped. Cut off your wings? But they had a type of serum to have my wings grow back even stronger than they were before. But they wanted to see if they did it again, if they would grow back even stronger than they were after the first time. Well, that's plumb stupid. I might have to agree with you. Yeah, well, bravery doesn't always have to be the best virtue. After all, there are many virtues. You could be the virtue of kindness. After all, there'd be plenty of ponies out here who would plumb let those diamond dogs shoot me and hope that they wouldn't notice them. Well, I very well couldn't just stand there. I mean, I seriously doubt any pony would. There would be plenty of ponies that wouldn't lose a lick of sleep. Oh my. May I pardon you, but I don't believe you actually introduced yourself. I don't know your name. Oh, what? Oh, pardon me. After all, I can be quite forgetful sometimes. My name is Blue Hammer. Blue Hammer. Oh, sorry. My name is Firefly. Nice to meet you, Firefly. Yeah, I reckon my name's a bit strange, but it does go with my cutie mark rather nice. I didn't notice it due to her saddlebags, but sure enough, her cutie mark is that of a hammer that has a blue tip to it. May I ask, if it doesn't offend you, what your special talent is? Why, surely. My special talent is finding gems. Well, more importantly, crafting gems, which takes a very skilled in order to carve them just right, in order for magic to flow through them just properly. Needless to say, it's more of a unicorn type talent than most earth ponies, but I do just fine. I can cut a crystal or diamond just so that you can see through it without a lick of problem, or make it so that then you can see several others, or to have it so that way then it can easily be charmed with a magical spell to allow to be put into magical weapons. Is that so? Fascinating. Yeah, although most people don't have the kind of money that it takes for it, or the kind of gems for it much these days. My pop specialized in gems. He worked up there in the tower. The tower. Yep. Sort of where most ritzy ponies live nowadays. You know? It's where they hide themselves in that tower and act as if the world outside isn't, all messed up. They think themselves real high class. When my father died, they kicked me out of the tower, saying they didn't have any need for any orphans. I've been traveling around the Equestria land since. Gathering things, became a traveling sales pony for a while. Before that, I was just a crusader. A crusader? Yeah. A bunch of little fillies that grouped together due to the fact that most of their parents are dead. Learned how to survive. If it wasn't for them, I probably wouldn't be the pony I am today. Well, that's fascinating. It's a pleasure to meet you, Miss. Just call me Hammer. Nice to meet you, Miss Hammer. And don't go calling me Miss either. I am far too young. Of course, Hammer. It's a pleasure to meet you, and I hope we'll become good friends. Well, suppose you could call me a friend, but barely know each other. And things in the wasteland have a weird habit of tearing ponies apart. But seeing as you're from the stable, I doubt you'd very likely shoot me in the head and run off, although wouldn't surprise me. Oh, I'm sorry. No worries. Here we are. Here's the tower. Oh, my. It's very, big? Yep. As she walks towards the gate, I am astonished to see a bunch of ponies with guns. I run up to her to keep by her. Why, howdy there. I just come in to bring some more, food to the here food store. And who is that? Why, she's my helper, of course. Duh. Here's my pass. Does she have a pass? She's part of my team. It here says that I'm a recruiter. Well, very well then. Just drop off your goods and get back out. I will do as fast as I possibly can, miss. I quietly walk up behind her, glad that I am inside what she called the civilized part of the town. Well, I reckon it isn't much, but it's the ritziest place you can. I thought you said you were a traveling sales pony. I was, but most of my stuff got stolen. Have to build back up. For that, I need coinage or caps. And for that, I have to start at the beginning, collecting canned foods and stuff and selling them here. These fancy prancy ponies pays big caps. And that way, I can help buy more stuff to trade, better weapons. Who knows? Caps, right. Alright, yeah. Well, why don't you here wander around a bit, and let's say in half an hour I'll meet you there by that fountain. Why, thank you. As I watch her walk away, I feel a bit sad. I wonder if she really will come back. She's the closest pony I'd have to say that I liked so far. As I face around the White Tower, I look around and I see spas and what appears to be an abandoned cheese shop and a bunch of, well, stores. A bunch of prancy looking ponies, as Hammer called them. I just walk around and I do have a few bits, and I look at the menu, and as I stop to try to get something to eat other than apples and cherries from which I brought from my stable, I'm astonished by these rates. Wow, I never stopped to count the caps that I had. Realizing that I should, I sit down and I count the caps. I have barely enough for a basic, what appears to be some kind of basket woven out of banana pudding or something. I order it anyway, seeing as it's the only thing I can really afford, and actually have a few caps left over. Very few caps left over. But it tasted good, and as I trot down, I realized that maybe I am a bit conspicuous. I realized that if I flipped my cloak inside out, that it was just a regular cloak. A two-way, I guess it's like one of those flip vests that the Overmare's note taker had. Very, very useful, but kind of strange. That's when my train of thought gets interrupted for the fact that I see a Pegasus. He's sort of a brown Pegasus, and he's wearing some kind of weird hat on his head. But without even thinking of it, I find myself racing after him. And gasping, I tap him on the shoulder. He turns around and looks at me. Why, howdy. Excuse me, I was just wondering if you could tell me what was up with, those weird bug Pegasus ponies. I just got out and... So, this, to find out, is a stallion named Calamity. He was very kind enough to sit me down and to explain why I was attacked by other Pegasus, and that they weren't actually bug Pegasus. It was their armor. And apparently I should not go over the skyline unless I want to get branded as a Dashite? Although I don't really want to be branded with anything, let alone a cloud with a lightning bolt. So he explains this to me. He also explains some other interesting things, and says that as a Pegasus, I'd be better off with a battle saddle. I don't really understand this, but I take his word, and I look at the strange concoction he calls a battle saddle, realizing that it's made with basic components, and that with a few scrounging around the main city, I might actually be able to make my own battle saddle, although without the guns, because I don't have any weaponry like that. I only have the small revolver. And so I thank him, and he then goes on his way to meet his other companions. I thank him graciously, and I leave. I am still swimming with thoughts as I am sitting at the fountain, waiting for Hammer to show up, although I'm kind of worried that she might not show back up, thinking that she might have abandoned me, as having a flightless Pegasus with no benefit whatsoever hanging around might not be good. To my surprise, she shows back up, and she has a cart with her. Why, what's with the long face there, Firefly? I am startled, out of my reverie, realizing that she has a cart with her, and it has... What? Why... Hi, well, you didn't think I'd here leave you all, did you? I said I'd meet you by the fountain, and here I am. After all, I mean what I say, and I say what I mean. Yes, of course, I didn't... What's with the cart? The cart? Oh, why, I traded it here for the goods that I brought. As I said, I need to bring back up... In order to carry more stuff, I need a cart. Is it by any chance a sky cart? What now? Why, I don't here think so. I think it is a regular cart. Well, if you got a sky cart, I could fly it for you. It would be a lot safer than trudging around on the ground. And you would get to rest in the back. I doubt that you little Pegasus could pull me in a cart, let alone a bunch of stuff. Well, that's what the magic battery's for. Listen, I reckon you're just trying to help, but I can pull my own weight. Oh, very well. It was just a... Don't worry about it, little filly. I am not a filly. I know. Just, come on, let's go. I reckon we gotta get out of this tower before nightfall. Give me the creeps being in here. But didn't you grow up here? I did. Even then it was filled with prissy ponies. I can't help but chuckle to myself that she grew up in this place with prissy ponies, so surely she must at one point had been one of these. But I keep my mouth shut, and I follow around behind her. So, you got any special talents? Why, me? Well, I can pick locks, and I can fly. I am of basic intelligence. I also know how to create healing potions, and, well, I reckon that all comes in handy, but, yeah, any good with any of your weapons? Well, I only have the small pistol, and that I'm only good with the stats are at point blank range. Remembering that, I remember that I'm covered in the dog's brain still. No wonder every pony was giving me the creeps. I wish I would have thought about rinsing off when I got there, but I was so flabbergasted by all the fancy ponies I didn't even think about. And, well, all that comes in handy, but I suppose you'll have to learn how to shoot properly, even without stats, as you call it. But at least you have that thing to help you out. I suppose it comes in handy if you don't know how to shoot. Yes. Why, I do in fact know how to shoot, for the fact that my brother was in fact in the security. I just never shot this kind of weapons before, or in fact at moving targets. All of the targets in Station 100 that was used for security were, well, bullseyes painted onto walls. These walls were then, I don't really know what they did. I think they used a spell to fill in the holes at the end of the day, or when new people came. I am not exactly sure. But the point was is that the targets weren't moving, so I was good enough at handling basic arms. I then realized, well, I'm pretty good with a baton. A baton? You know, the things police ponies use. No, they're sort of wooden or metal rods that come out, usually have sort of a, oh yeah, well, if I find one of those, maybe you can trade up for one. Why, thank you. Yeah, well, better find some safe place to sleep, seeing as it's almost nightfall. Yes, we should. Thank you. At that moment, I see something fall out of the sky. I see it slam into buildings, and I am off running, for I could have sworn it was a pony or a Pegasus or something. Blue Hammer shouts after me, "Wait up! What are you?" When I come to the crash site, I see what looks to be a sort of bird-lion thing. I search my memory and realize that it must be a griffin. The griffin is, well, bigger than me, but still rather small, I would think, for regular griffin standards. I pick up the small griffin, and I bring it to Bluebell Inn and set her into the carriage, where I begin mending her wounds. Well, Hammer doesn't say anything, although she furrows her brow. I don't think she rather likes me using her brand new well, brand new to her, cart for an in Neptune, well, hospital. I managed to actually pick up with a few bottle caps I've left a couple of herbs that were needed, and I managed to mend the griffin's wings and talons, but she would still need several days of healing in order to get better. As we camp down, I make some stew that from a couple of, what would you call them? They're sort of rats. Well, Blue Hammer calls them rat roaches, and they don't seem very appealing, but it makes the broth, I suppose. It's disgusting, but better than eating nothing, I suppose. And so we settle down there, and hopefully tomorrow, as I curl up in my cloak, hopefully tomorrow will be a better day. I have made one new friend. I am currently taking care of a sick griffin, and as I stare into the fire, I realize I feel more at home, curled up in these dingy, hole-filled, dilapidated house, surrounded by what's sure to be rat roaches and other horrible, gruesome things left over from the mega bombs, that I feel sort of at home. Out here, I have a purpose. I am to survive. I am going to do my best to try to help. While I might not have been trained to be a doctor, like any pony in Stable 2, I had medical information that I knew how to do. I knew how to set bones, how to brew basic healing medicines. I knew many things. Why, I might not be considered doctor material in Stable 100. Out here, I'm probably as close to a doctor as some ponies could find. Who knows? I might even be able to get a couple of caps for my medical knowledge. Well, that's it for now. Let's hope Firefly can at least get one night of sleep. I'm curious, as I'm sure you are, about the strange little griffin that fell into their lap. I wonder how her and Hammer will get along. Well, for now, we'll just have to hope that Firefly can get a good night's sleep. So, next time, well, we'll have to see where her adventure goes next time, won't we? So, Starlight Pony shining out. Have a wonderful day, my little ponies, and don't forget to sparkle.